So that was just a brief insight into some of the outside broadcasts our third year students have created over the past 2 weeks.
We're now here with the creators of Cookie and Co. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Yeah, so can you tell us a bit about who you are and what your role was in the creation?
Well, the story
If you want
starts
to grab
back
the
in
microphone.
1988.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, the story starts back in 1988 when we were asked to take part in the London to Sydney endurance rally. And Brian and I were near neighbours, both enthusiastic with old cars. And we put our hands up and said, yes, let's go for it, you know. So it was then a quest of finding the suitable car to drive across the world with. And we found this amazing old Vauxhall back at the back of Brooklands in an old barn there. It was a one owner from new, which was extraordinary. 1924, open top Vauxhall.
A little bit higher.
Sorry.
A little bit, that's all right.
So it was a case of once we'd agreed the car, it was a case of preparing the vehicle and getting it ready in 18 months' time to do the journey. And there we were on Marble Arch, New Year's Day, with others, all the competitors that were taking part. And the horn goes off, and everybody goes flying off in different directions.
Oh, that's very exciting.
The emphasis being it was an endurance rally, not a race. In other words, you had to overcome all the problems with visas, all this sort of thing, and also the car. Now you have to remember this car was built in 1924. Now Mike and I decided that we wouldn't modify the car at all. We wanted it to go, the car to be as it was in 1924. That's the technology in 1924. God, wasn't much. No. So that's how we did it, didn't we? And we completed the trip from London to Sydney. Yeah, we had a few problems. My job was the car. I actually renovated the car right from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Mike was dealing with all the logistics, visas, all this sort of thing, which he did very well.
Hotels.
Mike knew right from the beginning, he didn't know one end of a spanner from another. But I didn't know one end of a visa to another either. So it worked out really well. That's why we got on really well. Yeah. Because Mike left me alone to deal with the car, and I left him alone to deal with the paperwork.
Brilliant.
And that, for 5 months, we did okay, didn't we? Yeah.
Now, what was extraordinary, having completed the journey, which took some 5 months, when I returned, we both returned back home to Hayling Island, which was where we come from. There was a scriptwriter staying in a hotel that I owned over there, and he wanted to do the story of Cookie and Co.
Oh, nice.
The extraordinary event that occurred from that was the inspiration behind what ultimately became Cars. It was because we always talked about Cookie as a person. What a nice idea it would be to make them talk. So this is literally how it started.
Oh.
And thereby a screenplay was prepared by Jake Anthony, who's the scriptwriter, who you'll be seeing in a minute. And that's where it sits. Now the story is all in Cookie and Co. It's the book that's being released on the 6th of next month.
Sick.
Have you seen the film Cars?
Yeah.
The animation?
The animation.
Yeah.
Well, you probably know that they were cars with faces and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where Jake got the idea from. When Mike and I, on the trip, we would probably do, say, 200 or 300 miles in the car, and it would tell us when it had enough. And it sounds corny, but it really would. It would make all sorts of noises, the brakes wouldn't work, nothing would work. We'd pull over, we'd book in a hotel or whatever. In the morning, it'd be perfectly okay again. And
I suppose
it became the three of us, not just Mike and I.
I was going to say, yeah.
So when Mike was explaining all this to Jake, this is where he got this idea from. Okay, let's turn the car into humanised, put eyes on it, put whatever. So he got a Scott,
Scott Hodges, who's the illustrator, did the sketches of different character cars.
They're in there. He did these sketches of
you wanna show
cars,
us which
make
one?
them look like people.
Do you want to have a look and see which one? Is the car on the front of the cover the car that
It's
you
the
used?
actual car.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
that's fantastic.
So to see if we can get a shot of this on the camera.
You sort of hold it towards the camera so we can get a
Just
shot
an
of that.
example of one of the pages which gives some of the comparisons
Yeah.
Oh wow.
between Disney's cars
Oh, look.
and the illustrations that we did.
These were the sketches that were done long before the film Cars came out.
That's fantastic.
I don't know if you guys at home can see this, but we've got pictures of the cars from the Cars movie and other
And that's a
movies.
typical, I mean, you can see that, that's a copy, isn't it?
Yeah.
They even called it the same in the film. They were both called
We'll
Stanley.
show that to the camera.
Should we show that one? There we
See
go.
that?
There we go. That's fantastic. Let everyone see that at home.
Yeah.
Show the comparisons. It really is fantastic
Yeah,
to
it's
see where it all
interesting,
came
isn't it?
from.
It's saying to those that have it, you make your own decision.
Yeah.
Here are the comparisons, here's the examples. And the story is continuing. So as far as we're concerned, the journey of cooking continues.
It hasn't yet
Yeah.
finished. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And strange
Where
enough,
next?
we are currently in discussions with Disney.
Oh,
There is a,
that's brilliant.
but I can't say too much more than that.
Hold the microphone
Don't
up a
give
little
too much away.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's
this. I mean,
fantastic. Yeah.
show some of the pages. It's
Yeah. Should we show?
Oh dear, that's not supposed to happen. That's
know if you
supposed to
can
be
see
one
it.
of the new books.
flow in the design.
Oh dear.
Are you looking to collaborate at all with the university?
Sorry,
Are you looking to collaborate at all with the university?
cabaret.
Collaborate.
Oh, cool, certainly.
Work with.
Yeah.
We actually discussed the possibility of you doing the second animation film.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
But I need the enthusiasm from the university to say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Because I gather that you have the ability and also the skills to actually do the same thing as what they've done with cars.
Yeah, we do. We have a
So
lot of
we're
industry
looking at
stuff
the
here.
same
Yeah, that they're
character
doing
here.
over there
Motion
today.
capture as well over
Yeah.
Yes,
We've got loads of stuff. All right, well, thank you both very much for coming in.
you're very welcome.
Now it's time for a few more showcases as we look into some of our health features from the shows across the academic year.
Yes, we bring you the Chances for Change project, a Portsmouth City Council run project looking at 3 main strands in the community.
We'll also be looking at Pilates and the Bupa Great South Run.
Yes, it's been a great year for exploring physical and mental health. So let's take a look. Thank you guys. So earlier we were with the creators of Cookie and Co. And now we're joined by one of the illustrators, Scott Hodges.
So
Hi.
Scott, how did you get involved in illustrating in the first place?
I actually was at Portsmouth College of Art,
Oh.
so
okay.
and I'm a graphic designer. And in 1992, I was approached by Mike and Jake, the author of Cookie and Co, to provide some illustrations based on his screenplay and his story and his character descriptions. I produced a series of illustrations, which obviously he submitted to various TV and film companies. So I created the little illustrations that went with the story.
Oh, fantastic. So would you say that illustrating is a passion or is it a job?
It's a job now.
job.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone on from illustrating now to obviously computer graphics, but yeah, I started off on the drawing board and illustrations.
So what's the difference between illustration and painting or drawing?
That's a good question. I'm more of a technical illustrator, so cars, planes, anything engineering-wise is what I'm actually qualified in. And when I was approached, these were about cars, and I used to sell my illustrations. So it was an ideal sort of scenario for me to join in with. I've done these, and there is a scenario which is happening as we speak regarding the story and the illustrations. I can't say any more about that at this moment in time, but watch this space.
Yeah. Okay, great. With the illustration, you'd like to do something a bit more technical. Was that when they asked you to draw the car, they were saying that it became sort of almost like a relationship with the car. It was just them and the car was sort of personified. Do you think that was something that you tried to get across in your illustrations?
Yes, I mean, I was given a brief of a car description and a character, and I had to try and marry the two together and come up with an anthropomorphic character. So this is a car character with no humans in it. So the car speaks for itself, etc. Not like some of the films you see in the past, like Herbie, where there's always a human being in with the car. This is the car that is the character. So I had to try and morph the two together into one illustration.
How important are illustrations in books, especially children's books?
I think they say it all. A picture paints 1,000 words, really. So you can read and read and read about something, but when you physically see it, or you see it in 2D in paper, then it sets the picture in your head far better.
Okay, so Quentin Blake was a really good illustrator. Do you follow his style? Or
No, I don't follow any styles as such, yeah.
would you get inspiration from them? Even?
Being a technical illustrator, not so much really.
Yeah.
I mean, I generally work from plans, so
Okay.
no, not really.
How tough do you think it is working to briefs? I mean, if you're used to the technical stuff, if someone else is telling you what to do, has that difficult?
Yeah, you like to put your own little style on things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't drift away from too far what the client wants. So when I was given the car description and the character description, or the personality, I had to try and get them as close together as possible. And hopefully we've achieved that.
Did you enjoy working on Cookie & Co?
Yes, I did, yeah. I'm into classic cars myself anyway, so it's right up my street, yeah.
Have you got any new projects coming up?
Unfortunately, the daytime job takes over most of my time now.
What is the daytime job?
I'm a graphic designer.
Oh, okay, great.
So,
is there a marry-up between those two things?
well, obviously, design, illustration, yes, there is. But mine's more of a commercial basis now. So
okay.
I don't get time to do the drawings and the cartoons that I used to do. It's more of an interior design or a graphic design for a set or publication.
At the show today, we've obviously got illustration and graphic design. We've got a big mix of stuff going around today, so we'll be taking a look at that later.
I will do, yes. Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully
Be interested
big
to.
mix of work. Great.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
So thanks again for joining us. Let's take a look at another student showcase as we hear from Rebecca Latimer, a BA Fashion and Textile student, about her past year. We're here with one of the writers from Cookie & Co company. Hello. So can you first of all introduce yourself? So what was your role in the creating of Cookie & Co?
Pure chance, I wrote the screenplay.
Okay, cool. So is writing somewhere you've come, is that your background?
That's my background.
Yeah.
And actor.
Acting, okay.
And journalist occasionally.
So can you remind everyone at home of your full name, please?
JAKE Manderville Anthony.
Okay.
My mother's maiden name was transferred to me, which was French, which was Mandeville.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
How did you get into writing for the book?
Pure chance. I travelled a lot as a journalist and an author, and I've also worked in PR and advertising. So I've been a lot of parts of the world, and I was living at Thailand at the time, doing okay, getting some interesting selling books and doing lots of work, an occasional small script or an advert or something. And so I decided suddenly I'm going to go back and see my son, who lived in, and still does, in Stockholm. He got his degree there, you know, master's degree, very good stuff. So, but before I went to and travelled to Sweden and decided I'm going to go back and see my friends in England. So I took the Harwich ferry in with my camper van to England. And I reached Harwich in about 6 or 7 o'clock. And I thought, I'll go down and see my brother in Portsmouth, Hayling Island, specifically. And so I went down to the motorway, and it was about like 6 o'clock. This is pure weirdest chance you'll ever dream up. You couldn't make this up. So I like working out, so I thought I'll stay at a hotel on the seafront that has a gymnasium and, you know, a pleasant place I can stay for a few days, because I'd just done a trip all around Sweden, and then before that Thailand, then before that Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. Wow. So I thought, I'll have a stop at Hayling. I had friends there as a kid, you know. So I went on the motorway and I thought, well, where is there a hotel with a gymnasium, etc., near the seafront? So I nipped into an actual newsagent and said, where's a hotel with everything? Over there. So I went there and I stayed there about 3 or 4 years. And I stayed there for that because he was a very pleasant guy, Mike Perkins. And there were a few hints like this trip he'd made in a very old yellow car.
Yeah.
Oh, around the world, 5 months more. I thought, good God, this man must be a daring new Brit or something, So we got to talking, understandable. He actually bought a drink as well, so I thought I knew he was onto good thing here. So, and he told me, I've got this little story that I did last year, and to say I was intrigued would be an understatement. I thought, is this man a lunatic, or is he very clever, or both? Which really describes most people in media.
Great, thanks.
So I listened to him. He bent my ear with a drink one night, and then I saw a few pictures, and he said, oh, how about this? And out came 6 or 7 books of a 5-month trip. Oh, how about this? And this carried on for months and months. And he said, I know you, don't I? You've had a book out in here, and you get repeat fees on TV, and as Tony Bitch, the original Simon Cowell. And I said, well, that is true, yes. And I was very lucky, I was fortunate. So he said, would you be interested in writing a screenplay for this? Because I had written screenplays. I trained writing screenplays. But also classics with Shakespeare and Marlowe and everything. I only did the professional course, but quite a lot of other courses. So therefore, and he said, would you do it? I said, yes. And I couldn't type. I typed as a writer, but I'd never worked an actual typewriter with a computer added to it. I didn't even know what it was called. So someone, thank you, Buddha, taught me how to use a word processor.
Oh, that's great.
And then from Mike's lips, every day for, every day for about 7 months to start with, I like to write fast. I get in and do it, and then I'll edit sometime after. I edited one book, which I won't tell you the title of, for 16 times over a period of 16 years. And it worked because it sold a lot of copies.
That's great.
So, and no one knows about me over here. They think I'm someone who came from a weird place on the planet, so anyway, I wrote the damn thing, but I wrote Cooking Co. in no more than 4 months.
Wow.
It just flowed out. It flowed out. It was the fastest thing I'd ever written, and I enjoyed it. Writers don't really normally enjoy their work, reading it and writing it. It's hard work, it's not what you do. It can be really hard work.
All right, well, I'm really sorry, but we've actually run out of time, but it's been really interesting talking to you. So thank you. Yeah. It's really, really great. So there's quite a lot of opportunities for you as well. It's fantastic to let you know.
Can I just mention one thing very quick?
One quick real thing,
What intrigued me about the whole thing was after 4 months of writing it, I thought, well, it's finished. I thought, but they're treating a car like a human being. And they kept saying, come on, Cookie, don't let us down. Come on, up the hill, up the hill. And after no more than 3 or 4 days, I looked at it and it came through my mind, suppose every car was treated like that. And I had cars.
There we go.
And I wrote the whole damn lot within another 5 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
There we go. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Cookie, also.
We're now looking at a documentary from television and film production students.
Yes, with an exploration into celebrity fanatics, conventions, and how anyone can still enjoy toys from their childhood, even in their adult lives.